Hello. Today I want to share with you my analysis of rural water rates in North Dakota. I chose to do this on video because it's easier to explain the graphs and charts. All the information used to create these charts was provided to all North Prairie board members in April 2023 by Manager Sunsback. The graphs and charts are compiled using the base rate plus an assumed 4,000 gallons of water usage per month. That's typical water usage for my house of 5 and also an assumption used by several other rate studies. Obviously, this does not factor in bulk users such as Max, Surrey, or Plaza, nor does it take into consideration large users such as farmers or industrial users. But for the sake of this rate analysis, the numbers still represent a fair assessment of water rates across North Dakota. First, let's look at base rates and usage rates. On the left side of this graph, you can see certain McLean users pay the highest base rates in North Dakota at $76 per curb stop. Other users in McLean are paying $65 or $62, so the district name also shows up in two other areas of this graph. North Prairie did not provide us with how many users in our district are paying $54 versus $65. All the users were lumped into the $65 rate on the rate sheet provided. As you move to the right side of the graph, you see that typically users who pay a lower base rate will pay a higher usage rate per 1,000 gallons. Now let's look at miles of pipe and monthly income. Southwest Water Authority has the greatest miles of pipe in its jurisdiction. It covers most of southwest North Dakota from south of the Missouri River and west of Highway 83. It has over 5,260 miles of pipe and serves 7,465 users. South Central comes in as the second largest and serves rural Bismarck, followed by North Prairie for rural Minot, Cass for rural Fargo, and East Central for rural Grand Forks. This graph shows that typically the gray lines are above the orange bars. Belcourt is an anomaly because it has a high concentration of users over only a few miles of pipe. 3,500 users are served by only 245 miles of pipe. Garrison is another anomaly, serving 822 users with only 162 miles of pipe. Now let's look at the monthly rate of all North Dakota users. The yellow line represents the average monthly bill. The orange line represents the percentage of North Dakota users paying this rate. This chart isn't quite as clear as I wish it was, but the data shows that half of North Dakota rural water users are paying $68 or less per month for water. Now let's look at the number of users in a district versus the monthly income. Cass, with over 8,000 users, brings in about $400,000 from those users. Most other districts are fairly consistent, with the blue line hovering just at or above the orange bars. As you see, there's a significant anomaly with North Prairie, where the income bar is significantly higher than the user line. Finally, the last chart I'll be showing you is the average user's bill versus miles of pipe in the system. Southwest has the most amount of pipe and almost the most users. They are paying an average of $80 per month. On the other end of the chart, rates stay fairly consistent, even though the system maintains fewer miles of pipe. Predictable. However, once again, North Prairie is an anomaly, while having about the same miles to maintain as Southeast, Northeast, Cass, East Central, and Stutzman. North Prairie users pay $20 to $50 more per month than their peers in the same group. So there's the graph showing the anomalies. What can be done to bring us more in line with the other water districts? Let's look at what happens if water usage rate stays the same and the base fee is dropped to $45 per month for all users. Going back to the base rates and usage rates graph, currently along the left side of the graph, North Prairie is an anomaly with both high base rate and high usage rate. If the base rate is lowered to $45 a month, now North Prairie moves to the middle of the graph and is in line with its peers. Going back to the graph showing miles of pipe and monthly income. As stated before, this graph shows that typically the gray lines are above the orange bars. Belcourt and Garrison are anomalies. North Prairie's anomaly seems a bit out of line. Reduce the monthly rate to $45 for North Prairie, and then it is once again in line with its peers, Cass and East Central. Now let's go back to the monthly rate of all North Dakota users. The yellow line represents the average monthly bill. The orange line represents the percentage of North Dakota users paying this rate. If we lower North Prairie's rate to $45 per month, now it moves closer to the center of the chart. While North Prairie users would still be paying more than 84% of all other users in North Dakota, it still would make a huge impact on North Prairie wallets. Back to the chart showing number of users in a district versus the monthly income. Most districts are fairly consistent, with the blue line hovering just at or above the orange bars. If we lower North Prairie's rate to $45 a month, now it is consistent with all the other districts' data. Finally, the last chart shows the average user's bill versus the miles of pipe in the system. This is kind of a rehash of a previous graph, but it shows that North Prairie users pay $20 to $50 more per month than their peers who live in similar sized districts. Lower the North Prairie base rate to $45, and it's not so out of line. So how can North Prairie afford to lower rates? Well, let's look at the budget. Operating income is about $7 million. Operating expenses, which includes water purchased from Minot, labor, water treatment, plant chemicals, repairs and maintenance, office supplies, insurance, and legal consulting fees, comes to about $3.5 million. We pay $2.1 million in loan fees, interest, and principal each year. That means $1.4 million is left over. We can put that money in the bank, but we already have about $10 million in the bank. That $10 million isn't going anywhere because we have more than enough coming in to pay our bills each year. Yes, we need to be prepared for future maintenance, but the state and federal governments are constantly giving out grants and low-interest loans. What projects do we have coming up next year or the year after that we can reasonably expect to need to pay out of pocket for? Is there anything we can do to ease the pain of water bills on our users? Is there any line item in the budget that can be trimmed in any way? Or do we need to raise rates because that's what we always do? Thanks for your time, and I look forward to discussing this more with you at the meeting.